I have a very strong belief that everything that comes into your life is supposed to, and every condition of your life is part of the perfection of it, and that there's a blessing in all of it, and that there are no accidents, that it's a perfect, absolutely, totally perfect universe. Everybody that you meet for a reason. Everybody you're sitting next to, you're there for a reason. You can either take advantage of it or not. You have choices to make throughout it all. At the same moment, there's an opportunity in it, and I never look back with anything but gratitude for all that was handed to me, because I learned firsthand as a very young boy how to be self-reliant, how to take responsibility for myself, how not to blame other people for it, and to find something positive in it, and always did. Think of yourself as connected to and a part of it all, rather than someone who is being victimized or slowed down or abused by, or here it happens again. It's all part of the perfection of it all. That's a very nice, enlightening place to get to. It really slows you down. And it doesn't take away your ability to make choices. It takes away your wanting the world to be as you think it should be instead of as it is. That's what defines neurotic. That's what neurotic really means. To be wanting the world to be as you are rather than as it is. And for you to process it exactly the way it is.
And if you see everybody as a teacher, then you ask yourself, what do I have to learn here? And it's like in that second that you're just about to be angry and go around and maybe even have a head-on collision or whatever, or maybe nothing, but still in a hurry, maybe at that moment that person is there. That person is there to teach you to slow down a little bit.
Whenever you have a thought of, I don't have enough coming into my life. Things aren't the way I would like them to be. I don't have enough money coming in. I don't have the right kind of relationship. That's all coming from a place of fear and a place of lack. When what I've learned to do is just go within and say, I am exactly the way I'm supposed to be, and everything that has ever shown up in my life showed up exactly on time, the same way the sun shows up on time every morning and the moon shows up every evening on time, that everything in this universe is absolutely perfect. There are no accidents in it, and the only choices that I have are how I'm going to process the things that have showed up in my life, the father that I had, the resentments that I had with them. I no longer have to have those.
So the lowest stage of enlightenment is that stage where you look back on your life and you say, now I know why I had to be an alcoholic for those years. And now I know why I had to be in that relationship with my ex-wife. And now I know why I had to go through the bankruptcy. Or now I know why I had to create that cancer. Or that heart attack. Or whatever it was that taught me how to transcend that self-defeating behavior that I used to think I couldn't do anything about. You see? The second stage of enlightenment is when things like this are happening to you. You know there's a blessing in it. There's an opportunity in it while it's happening. You're smoking, and you know that there's something in this for me. You're going through a relationship difficulty, or you're having an accident, or you've gone through a series of illnesses, whatever it may be that seems to be a struggle for you in your life. While it's happening, you're looking constantly for what's in it for me? What can I get out of this? There's no mistakes out there. It's all being created for some reason. So that's the second stage. And that minimizes the suffering. Because you're looking for what's in it for you. How can I get something out of that? So that the person cutting you off, the way your children talk, whatever, you're not instantly threatened by that. You're constantly aware that these people are behaving that when there's something in this for me to learn. And I think I'll get it now. I think I'll get it now, instead of waiting 6 years suffering through it and then seeing it. But there's a higher stage. It's the highest stage. In Zen they call it, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It's the same. The only difference is that you're doing it from a totally new perspective of thought. And this dimension, the highest stage, what enlightenment really is, it's when you're back home again. Instead of pulling away from yourself, you're towards yourself. And this is what it is. You are able to get out in front of it. Play it out in the dimension of thought. and decide for yourself whether it's even necessary to bring it into form.
You go from being the actor in your life who is being directed by the events, the circumstances, and the other people in your life to being the director at the second stage. And in the third stage, you become the producer of your life.
There is a quiet whisper inside you that has always known the truth, not the truth you were taught, not the truth handed down through fear or form, but the truth that lives beneath all striving, all seeking, all becoming. It is the silent knowing that nothing needs to be added to who you are, for nothing has ever been missing. You are not on a path to become more. You are only on a path to remember. The world, with all its noise and glitter and measurement, has taught you to look outward, to chase, to compare, to climb mountains made of illusions and promises. It has handed you maps to destinations that do not exist. It has placed worth at the top of ladders built by the ego and whispered, only when you reach this place will you be enough. And so you began running toward titles, running toward approval, running toward perfection, running in shoes made by others, carrying burdens that were never yours. But let me tell you something sacred. The moment you begin to look within, to truly pause and sit with the stillness of your own presence, you will discover that everything you have been searching for in the world has been waiting quietly inside your being all along. You do not need to become anything. You only need to awaken to what you already are. You are already what you seek. You seek love, but you are love. Not the conditional kind that is offered and withdrawn, but the eternal kind that simply is radiant, unconditional, unshakable. You are not a being searching for love. You are love searching for yourself. You seek peace, but peace is your native state. Before the world painted you with urgency and filled your mind with restless noise, there was peace, and it is still there, underneath the chatter, underneath the striving. Peace is not a place you arrive at. It is the atmosphere of your soul. You seek meaning, but meaning is not found in doing more or proving more. Meaning is found in being and breathing consciously, in walking with presence, in seeing through eyes that know everything is already divine. You are not here to earn your place. You are here to remember that you already belong. You seek healing, but healing is not something granted by time or effort. Healing is the soft unraveling of what never truly belonged to you, the false stories, the inherited wounds, the borrowed beliefs. Healing is the gentle return to the self that was never broken. You are already what you seek. You are not an empty vessel waiting to be filled. You are the ocean itself, temporarily believing you are a drop. You are not a spark hoping for fire. You are the flame. You are not a stranger trying to find God. You are the breath of God, trying to remember itself. The ego will not want to hear this. It feeds on the narrative of not enoughness. It thrives when you feel separate, small, unworthy, incomplete. It will convince you that joy must be earned and that peace is a prize to be achieved. It will seduce you into believing that your value is measured by how many steps you've climbed, how much praise you receive, or how flawlessly you perform the role you've been assigned. But the soul knows. The soul does not compete. The soul does not compare. The soul does not rush. It simply shines. Your task is not to fix yourself. You are not broken. Your task is not to chase purpose. Your existence is already purposeful. Your task is not to seek something outside of you. Your task is to become still enough to hear the quiet music that has always been playing within your being. You are already what you seek. You have mistaken becoming for awakening. You have confused transformation with accumulation. True transformation is not about stacking more layers on top of your identity. It is the sacred act of shedding what never belonged to you in the first place. The butterfly does not add wings to the caterpillar. It dissolves. It surrenders. It allows what is false to fall away so that what is real can emerge. You are not becoming a soul. You are remembering that you have always been one. The journey you are on is not one of self-improvement, but of self-revelation. The more you seek outside of yourself, the farther you drift from the center. But the moment you turn inward, truly inward, you will find a stillness so profound, a truth so silent yet deafening, that it will shatter every illusion of lack. The light you chase in others is the light you've been dimming in yourself. You are already what you seek. You are the abundance you crave. You are the worth you try to prove. You are the peace you postpone. You are the joy you think must be earned. You are the love you keep looking for in every face, in every gesture, in every echo of approval. You are the home you've always longed to return to. So stop running. Stop trying. Stop bargaining with the divine by performing for a world that cannot validate your soul. You are not here to meet expectations. You are here to embody your essence. You are the mirror, not the reflection. You are the sky, not the passing weather. You are the awareness, not the thought. You are the vast, boundless field in which all experience arises untouched, eternal, sacred. Nothing needs to be added to you. Nothing. Not a title, not an accomplishment, not a partner, not a validation, not a future version of yourself. You are already whole, already complete, already enough. The only thing left to do is to remember. And remembering is not a doing. It is an undoing. It is a melting away. It is a sacred dissolving. It is the quiet choice to no longer chase what you already are, to no longer believe in the lie of lack, to no longer treat your divinity as a distant destination. You are already what you seek. And the world, this beautiful, chaotic, ever-changing world, is not your source. It is your mirror. It reflects what you believe about yourself. It bends to your inner frequency. It echoes the thoughts you trust most deeply. When you live from lack, the world echoes scarcity. When you live from wholeness, the world responds with peace. When you live from love, the world reflects miracles. The world is not happening to you. It is responding to you. And what it responds to most clearly is your inner knowing, that quiet, unwavering knowing that says, I am enough. I have always been enough. I will always be enough. This is not arrogance. This is spiritual humility. Arrogance believes it must become more. True humility bows before what already is. It does not strive to become divine. It recognizes the divine that already breathes through every cell of its being. You are already what you seek. Let that truth land in the softest part of your heart. Let it wash over every part of you that has been tired from searching. Let it reach the part of you that feels unseen, unheard, unloved, and remind it that nothing has ever been missing. There is no destination, only awakening. There is no other life waiting for you to arrive. This is it, and it is already sacred. There is no higher version of you that you must strive toward. The highest version of you is the one who surrenders, the one who remembers, the one who stops searching and starts being. You are already what you seek. And now, in the stillness of this moment, let the seeking fall away. Let the striving dissolve. Let the performance cease. And return to the truth that has always waited patiently beneath every thought, beneath every wound, beneath every desire. You are not becoming. You are revealing. You are not lacking. You are overflowing. You are not separate from the divine. You are the divine remembering itself. You are already what you seek. You have spent a lifetime trying to arrive at peace, at purpose, at fulfillment, as if life were a destination rather than a presence. But you were never meant to arrive. You were meant to awaken. And awakening is not a journey measured in miles or milestones. It is the sacred art of seeing clearly right where you are. The idea that you must reach some future state in order to be whole is the grand illusion. It is the veil that keeps the eyes of your spirit closed to the brilliance of the now. And in this very moment, beneath every thought that says, not yet, there is a timeless voice whispering, already, already alive, already worthy, already whole. To awaken is to hear that voice again. It is to notice the sacred hidden in the ordinary, the stillness between words, the warmth in a stranger's smile, the aliveness in your own heartbeat. It is to let go of waiting and allow this moment to be enough, because it is and always has been. The soul does not live in the future. It does not dwell in yesterday's shadows. It resides only in the eternal now, the quiet center where all seeking dissolves, where you stop running in circles and begin standing in truth. There's no grand awakening coming from the outside. The sky will not open with thunder to declare your divinity. Instead, it comes like a gentle return, the slow lifting of fog from a mountain valley. One moment you can't see the truth. The next, it's all around you, unchanged, eternal. And you realize you didn't find it. You remembered it. That is the essence of spiritual maturity. The moment you stop looking for something to change you and begin uncovering the changeless one within you. You do not need to transform yourself like some sculptor chiseling at marble. You only need to remove what no longer belongs. Not by force, not by struggle, but by the grace of awareness, by allowing what is false to fall away so that what is true can be revealed. You are not here to become extraordinary. You are here to remember that nothing has ever been more extraordinary than your own being. Even your suffering has not diminished you. Even your pain, misunderstood, resisted, hidden, has not changed the eternal truth of what you are. If anything, it is the very friction that has worn away the masks. It is the very breaking that has opened the window to the soul. What if all the things you thought were setbacks were sacred doorways? What if the heartbreak was a teacher, not a punishment? What if every closed door was grace in disguise? What if all of it, the confusion, the waiting, the ache of being human, was designed not to test you, but to bring you back to yourself? And what if, just for a moment, you stopped asking life to give you more and began asking life to help you see what you already have? That shift, that sacred pivot, is the moment of return. Not return to some former version of yourself, but a return to the essence that has been quietly waiting behind the noise, the divine frequency that never left, never faltered, never broke. The world may have tried to define you by your role, by your results, by your reputation, but the soul defies labels. It cannot be summed up in titles or bound by identity. It is the formless living through the form, the timeless wrapped in skin, the eternal breathing as you. You are not here to fix your humanity. You are here to awaken your divinity within your humanity, to let the infinite live through the temporary, to let the light shine through the cracks, not after they're sealed, but because they exist. This is the paradox of awakening, that your liberation does not come after your healing, it comes through it. Not once everything is perfect, but when you no longer need it to be. Not when all your wounds are gone, but when you stop identifying with them. Not when the noise is silenced, but when you recognize you are not the noise. You are the space in which the noise arises. You are the awareness that watches it all without judgment. You are the timeless field behind every story, every reaction, every identity. And in that recognition, there is power. Not the power that the world chases, the kind that dominates, collects, wins, but the power that liberates, the kind that needs nothing and gives everything. The kind that walks into the world with empty hands and an open heart, knowing it lacks nothing and therefore fears nothing. The person who knows they are already enough no longer competes. They no longer seek to impress or persuade or prove. They no longer barter their authenticity for approval. They simply live freely, fully, and in harmony with the pulse of the universe. Because they know the truth, they are already what they once believed they had to earn. And when you realize this, truly feel it in your being, not just as a thought, but as a resonance. You stop striving and begin aligning. You stop resisting and start receiving. You stop waiting and start living. The seeker dissolves. The striving fades. The shame evaporates. And in its place arises something so profoundly quiet that it changes everything. Presence, pure, grounded, radiant presence. This is not about becoming something new. This is about embodying what's always been true. You don't need another strategy. You don't need more affirmation. You need only the courage to sit in the stillness of your own soul and listen. Listen not with the ears, but with the spirit. Listen not for answers, but for alignment. And in that listening, you will hear the voice of truth. Not shouting, not persuading, but gently reminding you, I have never left you. I have always been here. You are already what you seek. And from that sacred place, you will begin to live differently, not because you are trying to live differently, but because you are no longer carrying the weight of being someone else. You no longer need to wear the mask. You no longer need to chase your reflection in other people's eyes. You no longer need to become someone. You simply need to be fully, freely, truthfully, and that is where the miracle begins. Not in changing the world, but in changing how you see it. Not in altering the self, but in discovering the one who never needed altering. Not in running toward the horizon, but in realizing that what you've been running toward has been inside you all along. The horizon is you. The miracle is you. The sacred is you. You are already what you seek. There is a grace in slowing down, a quiet revolution in choosing to stop rushing toward yourself and instead simply rest as yourself. Most people fear stillness because they fear what they might find in the silence. But the silence is not empty. The silence is where God speaks without words. When you stop filling every gap with noise, you begin to hear what has always been waiting underneath. The sacred doesn't scream for your attention. It whispers. It breathes through the spaces you've been avoiding. It lives in the moments you overlook. And in those spaces, there is a recognition, not a conclusion reached by logic, but a remembrance felt by the soul. You remember that your worth does not depend on productivity, that your being does not need to be justified by doing, that the essence of life is not found in the acceleration, but in the alignment. What if you are not meant to become faster, but deeper? What if the invitation of this life is not to add more, but to live more consciously with less? What if your transformation isn't ahead of you, but beneath you, beneath the stories, the identities, the mental scaffolding you've used to hold up the illusion of lack? Let them fall. Let it all fall. The ideas, the expectations, the image you think you must protect, let them collapse into the truth. There is no danger in letting go of what was never you to begin with. The ego may panic in that shedding, but the soul celebrates. For every layer that drops is another breath of freedom. And freedom is not loud. It is not flashy. It is not something you post about or perform. It is subtle. It is sacred. It is the kind of freedom that comes from no longer needing to pretend. The moment you realize you are enough, without adornment, without performance, without disguise, that is the moment you return home to yourself. And in that homecoming, there is no applause. There is only peace. Not the peace that comes from controlling circumstances, not the peace that depends on other people's behavior, but the deep, soul-rooted peace that cannot be taken because it was never given by the world in the first place. It has always belonged to you. Peace is your birthright. Joy is your essence. Love is your origin. And truth is your nature. You have never been separate from these things. You have only believed the mind's interpretation more than the soul's knowing. But the soul is patient. The soul waits. It doesn't argue or impose. It simply continues to radiate like the sun behind the clouds, knowing the moment you stop resisting, you'll feel its warmth again. And when you do, when you stop clutching your false identities and open yourself to the presence within, you'll realize that what you've been seeking has always been you, seeing through you, loving through you, living as you. You are not a character in this story. You are the awareness that sees the story. You are not defined by your past, your pain, your projections. You are defined by nothing, and that is your liberation. When you realize that nothing defines you, everything becomes possible. You are no longer bound by how others see you. You are no longer limited by how you used to see yourself. You are no longer a reflection of your wounds. You are a revelation of the divine. And in that revelation, you do not need to rise above the world. You are invited to walk fully in it with clarity, with compassion, with presence. This is not about escaping reality. This is about returning to the truest version of it. The world will still try to sell you stories. It will still try to measure your value by standards that were never created for the soul. But you, now anchored in knowing, no longer need to buy in. You don't have to harden yourself to survive in a hardened world. You don't have to dim your light to fit in with those who have forgotten their own. You don't have to explain your peace to those addicted to struggle. Just be. Your presence is your message. Your stillness is your power. Your authenticity is your revolution. Because the most radiant soul is not the one who shines the loudest. It is the one who remembers it was never in the dark. You were never in the dark. You only closed your eyes for a while. You forgot, like all of us do, what you came here to remember. But the forgetting was part of the path. The seeking was part of the sacred spiral. The wandering was the way home. And now you are arriving, not at something new, but at the truth that has always been within you. The truth that asks for no effort, no proof, no justification. The truth that simply says, you are. You are love without condition. You are light without doubt. You are truth without question. And you are already what you seek. So breathe deeply. Let this knowing sink into your bones, not as an idea to grasp, but as a frequency to live by. Let it shape how you speak, how you listen, how you walk into a room, how you sit with yourself when no one is watching. Let it redefine success, not as something to win, but as something to remember the success of living as your truest self, unburdened by shame, untouched by fear, unshaken by comparison. Let it show you that you are not here to prove anything. You are here to embody everything you already are. And in doing so, you become the living proof, not of how much you can achieve, but of how deeply you can remember. You are already what you seek. You always have been. You always will be. There is a moment in every soul's journey when the search softens, when the desperate reaching, the endless questioning, the exhausting pursuit of wholeness simply lets go. Not out of resignation, but out of revelation. The revelation that there is nothing left to chase, nothing left to fix, nothing left to attain. Because the truth, so quietly patient all along, has been whispering from within you, waiting for the stillness deep enough to be heard. And now you have heard it. Not as an idea, not as a philosophy, but as a knowing. You are already what you seek. This is not a metaphor. This is not poetic comfort. This is the purest spiritual reality, the kind of truth that doesn't shout, but resonates. The kind that does not try to convince the mind, but dissolves it. The kind that doesn't give you something to hold it, invites you to release everything you never needed. And in this sacred space of remembering, you realize something even more profound. You were never lost. You were only dreaming. Dreaming of a self that was separate. Dreaming of a God outside of you. Dreaming of a future where you might finally become worthy of what you already are. The awakening was never about becoming more. It was about waking up from the dream of not enough. It was about opening your eyes in the dark and realizing the light was never gone. You had only been looking away. And now, as your soul breathes deeper than it ever has before, You begin to feel what can never be taught, the felt truth of presence. Not as a concept, but as the substance of your being. You are not just connected to God. You are the expression of God in motion. You are not beneath the divine. You are the divine remembering itself. No longer does your heart need to beg for peace. It is peace. No longer must your voice cry out for love. It is love. No longer do you wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. You are the evidence of what is holy, not someday, not when you've earned it, not after you've healed everything. Now, in this moment, exactly as you are, you begin to see yourself now with new eyes, not through the filter of judgment, but through the lens of soul. You begin to hold your past not as a burden, but as a sacred map that brought you home. You begin to honor your wounds, not because you are defined by them, but because they revealed your resilience, your softness, your unbreakable truth. And from this place, you stop rushing, you stop clinging, you stop bargaining with life. You start allowing, you start trusting, you start embodying. There is nothing more spiritual than presence. And presence is not something you practice. It is what remains when you stop running. It is the native language of the soul. And now you speak it. You speak it through your stillness. You speak it through your kindness. You speak it through the gentle courage to be exactly as you are, with nothing left to prove. You no longer need applause. You no longer seek validation. You no longer chase enlightenment like it's somewhere far from your fingertips. Because now, you see, enlightenment is not an achievement. It's a remembering of your natural state. It is what rises when all else falls away. And now that everything false has begun to crumble, you stand not in emptiness, but in the fullness of truth. You are not becoming, you are being, you are not searching, you are revealing, you are not reaching for God. You are awakening to the God within you, and in this awakening, life becomes simpler, more beautiful. Not because the circumstances are different, but because your eyes are. You see the divine not just in mountaintops and scripture, but in dishwater, in a child's laughter, in silence, in breath, in the face you see in the mirror each morning. You no longer wait for a better moment. You no longer postpone your joy. You no longer delay your peace. You live now. You give now. You love now, not because everything is perfect, but because you no longer require perfection to be at peace. And the beauty is, when you live from this knowing, you become a quiet light in the world. You don't need to convince others. You don't need to shout. Your very being becomes an invitation, an open doorway into remembrance. Others feel it. They may not understand it with the mind, but their hearts recognize it, because the soul always remembers the soul. This is the great liberation. That nothing needs to be added to you. That your only task now is to be what you already are, freely, unapologetically, with reverence and joy. Let others chase. Let others prove. Let others build ladders to the sky. You are becoming the sky. You are no longer climbing. You are expanding. You are no longer editing your essence. You are expressing it. You are no longer seeking the divine. You are surrendering to the truth that the divine is seeking to live through you. And as this settles into the very marrow of your being, you begin to smile in that deep, ancient way, not because everything makes sense, but because everything belongs. Even the confusion, even the chaos, even the moments of forgetting, they are not failures. They are part of the sacred spiral. You are never off your path. You are always being guided, not towards something new, but back to something eternal. And now you are here. You are in it. You are the flame. You are the breath. You are the presence that no longer needs to chase presence. You are already what you seek. And the journey is not over, but the struggle is. What continues from here is not seeking, but deepening. Not proving, but expressing. Not waiting, but being. You walk forward now, not with weight, but with wonder. Not with urgency, but with trust. not with fear, but with sacred clarity. And when others ask you what changed, you'll have no doctrine, no formula, no 7-step plan. You'll simply look at them heart wide open and say, I remembered who I am. I remembered what I've always been. I remembered that I am already what I once believed I had to become. And that remembrance, that breath of soul deep truth has set me free. Free to be, free to love, free to live fully, free at last to just be. And that is more than enough. It is everything. It is everything you ever were, everything you ever will be, everything you already are. There comes a moment in every life when the noise begins to fall away, when the chasing, the proving, the pleasing, the reaching outside of ourselves begins to exhaust its own illusion. In that holy pause, when we are finally still enough to hear what's been whispering beneath the surface of all our striving, a truth arises not as a thought but as a knowing, that love is not something you are here to get. It is not something you must earn, chase, convince, or beg for. It is not an external prize handed out to the worthy, nor a transaction to be negotiated with your achievements. It is the breath of your being, the truth of your soul, the presence of what you already are. You were born as love, wrapped in skin, and yet somewhere along the journey in the tangled forests of fear, in the systems that measured value and performance, in the wounds we mistook as identity, we began to forget. We began to believe the great lie, that love is somewhere else, that it is found in others, given only when we're good enough, quiet enough, successful enough, broken enough to be rescued. We traded our essence for approval, we bartered with our worth, and in doing so, we left home without ever leaving the room. But the soul has a memory no story can erase. Deep within you, beyond your name and history and scars, lives an untouched field, vast, timeless, unshakable. This is not the place you go to seek love. It is the place where love already lives. It is what you return to when you stop trying to become what you already are. You don't need to find love, you need to remember it. There is no relationship that can complete what is already whole. There is no amount of affection or validation that can replace the sacred task of reclaiming your true self. When you think love is something outside of you, you will forever be a seeker. But when you awaken to the truth that you are the source, the wellspring, the very expression of love itself, you become not a seeker but a giver. And in giving, you receive. In being, you remember. All spiritual journeys lead us back to this, not to a new belief, but to an inner recognition, to the holy realization that the divine is not just around you, it is within you, as you, and that divine essence is love. Not sentiment, not attachment, not romance dressed in expectation, but the deep, ever-present, unconditional presence of being itself. Love is what happens when the ego falls silent. The ego says you must earn it. Love says you already are it. The ego says you are unworthy until proven otherwise. Love says you are sacred simply by existing. The ego seeks to possess, to control, to prove. Love seeks nothing, it simply radiates. And like the sun, it doesn't withhold its light depending on who steps into its warmth. You were never born to be a collector of love, you were born to be a generator of it. Not because the world told you to, but because it is your nature. You don't ask the rose to justify its fragrance, or the ocean to explain its depth. Why then do you believe you must justify your love? Why must you prove your lovability? What story convinced you that your essence needs permission? The answer is simple. You were taught to forget, but today you are remembering. Today you are shedding the costumes of not enoughness. Today you are peeling away the layers of performance, achievement, and fear, and standing naked in the light of truth. The truth that what you were searching for was never gone. It was just buried beneath beliefs that were never yours. You cannot become what you already are. You can only remove what blocks it. So remove it, gently, patiently, unapologetically. Let the layers fall like autumn leaves. Let the masks crumble. Let the false identities dissolve in the warm waters of your own awareness. Every time you release a belief that says you are not love, you make room for the truth to breathe again. And what is the truth? That you are the presence behind the eyes, the silence beneath the noise, the stillness under the storm. You are not the wounds you carry, you are the awareness that sees them with compassion. You are not the body, you are the light animating it. You are not the thoughts, you are the space in which they come and go. And that space, that presence, that essence is love. Real love has no opposite. It is not dependent on reciprocation. It does not rise or fall with circumstance. It is the fabric of the now. It is not something you fall into. It is what rises within you when you fall out of illusion. The ancient mystics knew this. Rumi called it a flame that burns inside you. Jesus spoke of it as the kingdom within. Buddha pointed to the end of suffering through awareness and compassion. They all said the same thing in different words. The treasure is within. And so the question is not, where do I find love? The real question is, what within me is resisting what I already am? The resistance is subtle, but it is there in every moment you diminish your worth, in every thought that tells you love must be earned, in every habit of seeking approval from those who cannot even approve of themselves. It is in the way you speak to yourself when you are alone. It is in the way you compare, compete, and strive to belong to what is not even real. But love does not ask you to fix yourself. It does not demand that you become perfect before it arrives. It only asks that you remove what is not true, that you stop confusing protection with presence, that you stop confusing performance with connection, that you stop confusing fear with love. You are not here to chase love. You are here to return to it. It was never about becoming worthy. It was about remembering that you always were. What if today you stopped trying to be lovable and simply allowed yourself to be love? Not love as sentiment, but love as stillness, love as presence, love as deep breath, open hand, and unshakable compassion. Love is the space that lets others be exactly who they are without needing to change them to feel safe. Love is the courage to be vulnerable when your instinct is to protect. Love is the forgiveness that sets you free, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Because when you forgive, you reclaim your peace. When you let go of resentment, you take back your power. When you choose love in the face of fear, you choose alignment with your true self. And your true self is not weak. It is not small. It is not needy. It is the mountain beneath the weather, the sky behind the clouds, the river that flows no matter who tries to dam it. Love is the essence of your being, and nothing can subtract from it, only your belief can veil it. And this is the great spiritual paradox. The moment you stop needing love from the world, you begin radiating it into the world. And in that radiance, the world responds not because you are finally good enough, but because you have become a mirror of what is real. There is no force more magnetic than authenticity. No presence more healing than someone who has remembered who they truly are. To love yourself is not vanity, it is sanity. It is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is not superiority, it is sovereignty. It is to stand in the mirror and say, not I am better, but I am whole. It is to walk into a room not asking, will they love me, but radiating the knowing that I bring love with me. You cannot pour from a cup that is forever empty. So stop handing your cup to others, begging them to fill what only your own soul can offer. The world cannot give you what you refuse to see within. No amount of applause, attention, or affection will substitute for the sacred task of falling in love with your own soul. Not the ego, not the personality, but the soul that has watched you grow, fail, rise, and fall, and loved you through it all. The soul that whispered in the darkness, keep going. The soul that never asked you to be anything but exactly who you are. You are not here to be lovable. You are here to be loved. And that love is not passive. It is not timid. It is not weak. It is fierce. It is forgiving. It is liberating. It is the kind of love that doesn't need a reason to exist, because its existence is reason enough. When you begin to live from that place, everything changes. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become freer. The opinions of others begin to lose their grip. The past loses its chains. The future loses its pressure. And the present becomes enough. Because love doesn't need a different moment to shine. It only needs your permission to show up now. In this breath, in this moment, in this choice. And this is the greatest power you will ever know. The power to love without condition, without exception, and without delay. Not because the world made it easy, but because your soul made it necessary. The most courageous act is not to change the world, it is to refuse to let the world change the truth of who you are. And who you are is love. You are the temple and the light within it. You are the seeker and the sought. You are the question and the answer. And when you finally stop looking for love, you begin seeing it everywhere, in the eyes of a stranger, in the warmth of the sun, in the silence of your own breath. You begin to realize that you were never missing anything, only misplacing your attention. You were never incomplete, only convinced you were. You were never separate, only asleep to your unity. And now you are waking up, not becoming something new, but unbecoming everything false. You are not a person looking for love. You are the love that life has taken the shape of. And this love, your love, is not a currency to be traded. It is not a trophy to be won. It is not a role to be played. It is your birthright. Your name may change. Your roles may shift. Your body may age. But this truth will never change. Love is what you are. And when the mind quiets and the ego softens and the heart opens, you will know you never had to earn it. You only had to allow it. And when you allow it, truly allow it, you become something the world cannot define. You become presence without pretense, power without force, joy without condition. You become untouchable by the lesser illusions of fear, not because you escape the human experience, but because you remember the divine truth within it. You no longer need to be right, to win, to impress, to fix, to chase, because love has no agenda. Love just is. It is not concerned with being recognized, validated, or rewarded. It is content in its own existence, like a flame that doesn't need applause to burn. And when you live from that space, you carry a light that cannot be extinguished by rejection, betrayal, or silence. Because the light does not depend on the world's switch, it shines from within you. And this, dear soul, is where your freedom begins. In choosing to be loved even when no one else remembers what that means. In choosing to respond with grace even when others forget their own. In choosing to stand as peace even when the world trembles in fear. You are not here to get love from people, you are here to bring love to people. You are not here to find the perfect partner, you are here to become the one who loves without needing to possess. You are not here to fix the broken, you are here to see the wholeness beneath the wounds. You are not here to gather approval, you are here to approve of yourself so fully that others begin to remember how to do the same. When you love from the soul, there is no lack. There is no fear of not having enough to give, because the soul doesn't give love like a commodity. It radiates it like a sun, unconcerned with how many bask in its light, unattached to whether others understand. It simply shines. And you were born to shine, not for praise, not for recognition, not even for purpose, but because it is your nature. And anything that denies that radiance, be it a thought, a story, a belief, is not your truth. It is a program, a misinterpretation, a moment of forgetfulness. So remember now, remember who you are beneath the noise, beneath the wounds, beneath the stories handed to you by a world that profits from your disconnection. You are not a stranger to love. You are not separate from it. You are its vessel, its voice, its expression. You are love dressed as a human for a little while. And what a sacred costume it is. Your body temporary, your mind evolving, your roles shifting, but your essence eternal. And that essence is not lonely, it is not insecure, it is not lacking, it is vast, it is complete, it is radiant, and it has been waiting patiently for you to stop seeking what cannot be found outside yourself. The moment you stop waiting to be loved is the moment you stop delaying your awakening. You do not need to earn the right to be what you already are. You do not need someone else to love you before you allow yourself to love you. You do not need permission to embody the truth of your soul. You only need willingness. The willingness to look inward, to feel fully, to trust the quiet wisdom that whispers, you are already home. And when you begin to trust that voice, when you allow it to guide your choices, your presence, your words, you become a sanctuary, a walking temple, a place where others can rest without judgment, where pain can dissolve in presence, where fear can melt in the warmth of unconditionality. You become an invitation not for people to love you, but to remember that they are loved too. Because the world does not need more people seeking love. It needs more people being it, being the hand that reaches out without agenda, being the smile that sees beyond the mask, being the stillness that doesn't rush to fix, but knows how to hold. This is the path of true power, not domination, not control, not status, but presence. A love so rooted in the divine that it does not waver with circumstance. A love that flows through you, not because you try to create it, but because you finally stop blocking it. Let the blocks dissolve. Let the fear be felt and released. Let the old stories fall away like clothes that no longer fit the being you have become. You are not broken, you are buried beneath years of pretending, performing, pleasing, beneath guilt and shame and not enoughness. But the soul is untouched. The soul cannot be broken. It can only be forgotten. And in this moment, you are remembering the sacred truth that has always lived in the quiet center of your being, the truth that nothing needs to be added to you, only revealed. That what you are is not a construction, but a discovery. And what you are, in your most unguarded, unconditioned form, is love. You are not the love you were taught. You are not the love you were withheld. You are not the love you were told must be earned through silence, sacrifice, or suffering. You are the love that existed before those conditions were introduced. The love that was present before anyone ever told you what you had to become. Breathe into that, not as a concept, but as a returning. Close your eyes, if only inwardly, and feel it. That deep, formless presence that does not need definition, that does not ask you to strive, that does not shift with approval or disappear when you feel alone. Feel that stillness, that space, that gentle, expansive awareness that watches it all, the thoughts, the emotions, the patterns, but is not bound by them. That is you. That is your home. That is love. And the more you return to it, the less you need the world to mirror it for you, the less you need people to show up in ways they never learned, the less you rely on conditions being just right in order to feel peace. Because you have anchored your worth in what is unshakable, in what cannot be taken, in what is yours by nature, not negotiation. This is the deepest healing. When you stop asking for love and begin embodying it. When you stop seeking peace and realize you are the one who brings it. When you stop waiting for someone to see you and begin looking at yourself with the eyes of the divine. You are not here to convince others of your value. You are here to remember that your value is intrinsic and to live accordingly. You are here to release the identity built on what others failed to give you. You are here to shed the weight of proving, of pleasing, of pretending. You are here to walk as a soul, not as a mask. You are here to be what you came from, not the fear of it, but the fullness of it. The great spiritual teachers all pointed to this. They didn't ask us to become something different. They asked us to remember what was already true. When Jesus said, "You are the light of the world," he wasn't asking you to earn your light, he was reminding you of it. When Rumi wrote, "You were born with wings, why prefer to crawl through life?" he wasn't asking you to grow wings, he was reminding you that you already had them. When the Buddha said, "Peace comes from within, do not seek it without," he wasn't denying the beauty of the world. He was pointing to the source of your power. And your power, dear soul, has never been in getting love. It has always been in knowing that you are love, and that when you live from that knowing, your very presence becomes transformational. Not because you fix others, but because you no longer abandon yourself. Not because you get everything you want, but because you finally stop betraying what you are. This is the highest expression of love, not needing, not clinging, not changing anyone to feel safe, but being a space where truth can breathe, where your soul can rest, where your heart can stay open even when it would be easier to close. This does not mean you become passive. It does not mean you allow harm or stay silent in the face of untruth. Real love is not weak. It is the greatest force on earth. It forgives, but it also protects. It accepts, but it also speaks with clarity. It surrenders, but it never forgets its value. To be love is not to be small, it is to be vast. To be love is not to be silent, it is to speak from presence, not fear. To be love is not to be less, it is to be whole. And when you live from wholeness, everything changes, not always outside, but always within. You begin to live aligned with your soul's knowing, aligned with what is real, aligned with a peace that cannot be explained, only experienced. And that experience begins right now. Not tomorrow, not when you have it all figured out, not when others change, but here, in this sacred moment of awareness, in this breath, in this choice to believe in the deeper truth rather than the louder story. You are love. And that is not poetic fluff. That is the most radical, revolutionary, spiritual statement you will ever claim. Because when you know that not just intellectually, but viscerally you are free. Free from needing the world to be different. Free from waiting on someone else to tell you what you already know. Free from the lie that you must chase what you already are. This is not about self-help. This is about soul remembrance. This is not about improving yourself to become lovable. This is about remembering that your soul was carved from love itself, and that no amount of forgetting can change its shape. You are not missing anything. You are simply rediscovering everything. And as you rediscover everything, not through force, but through surrender, you begin to move through life differently. Not as someone in search of completion, but as one who walks already whole. You are no longer a beggar for affection, you are the source of warmth. You are no longer trapped in a cycle of proving, you are anchored in truth. You no longer shrink in the face of rejection, because you have stopped rejecting yourself. This is what happens when you come home to love, not love as a transaction, but love as your truth. Love as stillness that listens instead of defending. Love as clarity that speaks instead of blaming. Love as presence that holds instead of fixing. Love as boundaries born not of anger, but of respect for the divine within you. Because being loved does not mean you accept anything less than what honors your spirit. It means you no longer dishonor yourself in order to be accepted. You begin to see that love has never been about what you get, but about what you give, not because you are empty, but because you are full. And from that fullness, you offer kindness without expectation. You offer compassion without control. You offer your presence without performance. You give not to get, but because giving is the natural expression of what you are. When a flower blooms, it does not demand the sun to thank it. When the ocean moves, it does not ask the shore to approve. And when you love, truly love, you do not need others to reflect it back in order for it to be real. It is real because it flows from within you. And what flows from within cannot be taken from without. Let that truth sink in. Let it melt the parts of you that still believe you are waiting for someone or something to finally prove you are enough. You are not waiting for love, you are waking up to it. It's been here all along. It was there in the tears that softened your heart. It was there in the silence that followed heartbreak. It was there in the emptiness that made room for truth. And it is here now in this very breath inviting you to stop resisting your own radiance. You are love, not in metaphor, but in essence. And that love is not a decoration, it is your foundation. It is not an emotion that comes and goes, it is the unchanging backdrop upon which all experience unfolds. Emotions are clouds, stories are weather, but love is the sky. And no matter what storms pass through you, the sky remains. When you stop identifying with the clouds, you remember the sky. And when you live as the sky, vast, open, unbothered, you begin to allow others the freedom to be what they are too. This is love in its purest form, the space that does not cling, the gaze that does not judge, the heart that holds without gripping. And when you offer that kind of space to the world, to yourself, you become a vessel for something far greater than personal gain. You become a lighthouse, a quiet radiance that doesn't chase ships, but simply stands, shining so others may remember their way home. Not by demanding they follow your path, but by living your truth so deeply that it awakens the truth in them. This is your sacred task, not to convince, not to convert, but to embody, to become the living proof that love is not something to be earned, it is what you are. That peace is not something you find, it's what you uncover when you stop hiding behind fear. That wholeness is not built, it is revealed. And all of it begins the moment you stop pretending to be someone you're not. The masks served their purpose. The roles helped you survive. The performance may have protected you once, but they are no longer needed. Now is the time for truth. Now is the time for shedding. Now is the time for returning. Not to something new, but to something ancient. To the you that existed before you were told you had to be someone else. To the you who knew how to love without fear. To the you who knew that being seen was not dangerous, but divine. And as you return, the world around you begins to shift. Not always in dramatic fashion, but subtly, gently, powerfully, because the energy you carry transforms the space you inhabit. And when that energy is rooted in love, real love, unconditional love, soul love, you don't just change your life. You become a permission slip for others to change theirs. Not by force, but by frequency. Not by pressure, but by presence. And it all begins by remembering that love is not something you get. It is what you are. And as you continue to awaken to this truth, not in flashes of insight, but in the quiet constancy of presence, you begin to shed the final remnants of the illusion that love is earned, the illusion that you are incomplete, the illusion that something or someone outside of you holds the key to your peace. You see it now, the chase was never necessary. The reaching was only ever a reflection of forgetting. There is nothing to add to yourself, because love is not a possession. It is not an achievement. It is not a badge you earn from enduring enough pain. It is your origin, your structure, your soundless center. You are love in human form, not trying to become anything, just trying to remember. And now you do remember. You remember not with the mind, but with the soul. Not with words, but with silence. Not with effort, but with surrender. You remember that you were born as a whole note in the divine symphony. That before the world taught you how to perform, how to protect, how to pretend, you were already radiating with the frequency of God, effortless, sacred light. You do not have to go looking anymore. Not for love, not for permission, not for yourself. The search ends here, not because you have found something, but because you have ceased to deny what was never missing. And in that stillness, you rise. You rise not through striving, but through shedding. You rise not by reaching higher, but by sinking deeper into presence, into truth, into the unmoving ground of what you are. And from this grounded place, love no longer feels like something you give. It feels like something you are, something that walks with you, not because you try, but because you allow it to walk unhidden. There is no more need to grasp or prove or explain. There is only the quiet revolution of being. Being who you were before you learned fear. Being what you are beneath every scar. Being the breath of the divine in motion, in form, in time. And in that being, in that sacred, unshakable knowing, you become the miracle. You become the one who forgives without forgetting your worth. The one who lets go without closing your heart. The one who can stand alone without feeling abandoned. The one who sees the pain in others without losing your light. You do not retreat, you radiate. You do not chase, you carry. You do not demand, you embody. You are no longer the seeker. You are the presence that was being sought. The temple is no longer hidden, the altar no longer buried. It has always been within you, and now you live there. And you will return there again and again. For the world may forget you, but you will not forget yourself. You will live not from memory, but from awareness. Not from survival, but from alignment. Not from fear, but from the frequency of love that needs no justification to exist. It simply is. And so are you. There is nothing to force, nothing to fix, nothing to prove. You are the sun that shines without permission. The flame that does not wait for wind. The river that flows even when no one sees. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be true to yourself, to walk in love when the path is unclear, to open your arms when the world closes its fists, to be the stillness in the storm, the breath in the breakdown, the grace in the grief. You are not here to save the world. You are here to stop abandoning your own soul. And in that devotion, in that unwavering return to presence, you become the greatest healing this world can know. You become a mirror of what we all are underneath the noise, vessels of the same light, made of the same silence, shaped in different forms, but carved from the same sacred source. And when your heart beats from that place, from the knowing that you are not separate from love, but the embodiment of it, there is no longer anything to do, just to be, just to live from the deep river within, just to walk slowly, fully, generously, letting each step be a blessing, each breath a benediction, each word a vibration of something truer than thought. Let the world do what it does. Let people come and go. Let time pass like wind through an open hand. But you remain rooted in the one thing that never leaves. The one thing that cannot be destroyed, the one thing that was true before your first breath and will be true beyond your last. You are not waiting for love. You are not earning love. You are not lacking love. You are love. Undeniable, unmistakable, unconditional, unbound. And in this knowing, you are finally, eternally free.